Guys, Marvel's The Defenders dropped on Netflix this weekend. Should you have binged it? Was it worth it? We're talking about it next on Screen Junkies News. What's up, guys? I am not Dan Murrell. I'm Joe Starr, joined by not Roth Cornett, Marquis and McCarty. What's up, dude?
Yeah, that's how everybody knows me, not Roth Cornett.
Yeah, the number of times a day I am called not Dan Murrell, including by my own parents, is absolutely absurd. Let's get into the 8 hours that was The Defenders this weekend.
Yes.
Let's talk big picture, overall thoughts. How'd you feel? Big picture on this thing.
I enjoyed it because of the way that they incorporated each show's, well, you could say flavor, each show's flavor, and they intertwined that into Defenders. I love that it was 8 episodes and not 13. This did not need to be 13 episodes long. It got the point across.
Yes. I think, big picture, the sort of 8-episode experiment versus 13, I think was absolutely a successful one.
Success. Yes.
I do feel like we're still sort of chasing the high that was the first season of Daredevil. Not necessarily in terms of story, because I enjoyed the story from Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but I think in terms of that feel that the first season of Daredevil captured.
Yeah, I can agree with you. It did seem more of a Daredevil and Iron Fist show, of which Luke Cage and Jessica Jones were a part of the adventure, than it was with being their actual, for them being a main thrust in it. It's like they were auxiliary support.
Yeah, and then sort of speaking of Iron Fist, this did feel to me like Iron Fist Season 2 with a whole bunch of people added into it so that you would like it. Sort of in the way that Captain America Civil War was kind of Avengers 2.5.
Right.
This felt like Defenders Iron Fist Season 2, maybe Season 1.5 to me.
Yeah, well, it did have a lot of really great flair with it, with going in that, in that thought process. Like, for instance, with Colleen Wing and then also Misty Knight, how there's a possibility of Daughters of the Dragon that's going to happen. So it's like, hey, Iron Fist Season 2, this might happen. Misty has a possible bionic arm, and they're going to, so we'll have this.
Colleen stepped it up a little bit. We'll get into them, but let's sort of break these characters down a little bit, sort of by group in terms of performances, what we thought. Let's hit our villains first, because I feel like your villains are the most important part of your show. I think that's why people love Daredevils, because Kingpin was absolutely incredible in that show. I think that's one of the reasons why people love Jessica Jones, because Kilgrave was terrifying.
Fantastic villain.
And a wonderful villain.
Yeah, and then Cottonmouth, played by Mahershala Ali for Luke Cage. I mean, what a fantastic villain.
I mean, that dude's got presence for days.
Yes.
So, I mean, where do you step it up from there? You go Sigourney Weaver. Let's talk about Alexandra.
And wouldn't that really be it? It's like, how can we go even better than, Sigourney Weaver.
Yes. Now, she is definitely one thing in this show that overall, you enjoyed it. It got to be a bit of a chore for me after a while. I don't know if I'm getting to the point where Marvel doesn't necessarily feel like I liked it or didn't like it. I'm sort of getting to the point where I know I'll watch it. Did it feel like work? And this show definitely felt like work a little bit to me. Okay. But one of the things that really worked for me and I enjoyed was Alexandra, Sigourney Weaver's performance. She just brought so much to the screen every time she was on.
Something that I really enjoyed that they did with this antagonist, I don't even really want to say villain, I want to say antagonist, is that they started her off at such a vulnerable place where it's like, she's dying. That's how we meet her. She gets the news that everything's failing. There's nothing that we can do. Your days are numbered.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's something that I enjoyed about The Hand in general, is you really got a sense that they felt a little out of depth. They were not prepared for a group like the Defenders to show up. This is the first time they've been vulnerable in ages, so the idea of a superpowered alcoholic and a big bulletproof guy showing up, like, you can tell that they're a little freaked out. They're playing, they're the away team, at Wrigley Field, and that was really interesting to me. They don't make villains vulnerable like that that often. They weren't just a normal like cocky army.
Yeah, where they're just gonna like, hey, this is what we do. We blow things up and, take names fresh out of paper. Now, it was actually interesting. It kind of, I felt like The Hand was a little bit everywhere, as in not as focused as it should have been.
Sure.
it's like they've done all of this planning. They finally found the thing that they were going after, and then they are thrown for a loop with, the defenders. It's like, you didn't plan for this, and all that millennia, Constantinople, and now I can't get, they might be giants out of my head, thanks to that one reference. It's like, you're supposed to plan for everything, and you didn't.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about sort of our five fingers of the hand. We enjoyed Alexandra. We can get to Elektra in a minute, but let's talk about Madame Gao, Sawande, Murakami, and Bakato, because we've been talking about the hand. Everyone is screwed when the hand shows up. Stick even tells us when the five fingers of the hand show up, no one's gonna survive. And then when they do show up in the Chinese restaurant, everybody sure as hell survives.
They do.
They often just didn't feel like a threat to me. We talked a little bit. Murakami seemed a little shallow to me. He's the guy behind Nobu, but really Nobu was
extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Murakami, I guess, was more quiet. I liked what they did with having him speak Japanese, and then everybody just understood him and
I enjoyed that too.
Responded in English. I actually would have even enjoyed it even more if Madame Gao had responded to him in Mandarin, and then everybody just responded to her in English.
Yes.
Just go ahead and do that.
Just lean into it.
Yeah.
I liked his Tywin Lannister intro with the bear, where he's
the moon bear. Where he's just, hey, I hunted this down with my bare hands. This is what I do.
Yeah, this is kind of what I do.
Yeah.
But really, I think the sort of supporting villain that shined for me was Sawande.
Yes, Sawande was bae. He was really good.
Yeah, he had all the cool lines. How many mice must drown with you was such a good line.
He knew the defenders, and the defenders had just shown up, and he'd already had all of this intel on them to the point where he knew Jessica Jones' past antagonist, Kilgrave. Like, he knew all of this. I wish he had survived.
Yeah, he was obviously
was so interesting.
Yeah, Madame Gao was cool because we've had Madame Gao around now for a while, but Sawande, outside of Sigourney Weaver, was the only guy who really felt like a threat to me. It won't be long until this chair I'm tied to becomes a throne. Like, come on.
Wow.
Like, that dude is so awesome, and he was so just kind of interesting and off-putting.
Yeah. It was such an abrupt conclusion with that character, and I just kind of wanted him to carry on. I mean, I understand that the stakes had to be raised, but I guess I
might have given that job to Bakato, who I was not interested in, especially not compared to Sawande. He was scary. He was legitimately scary, and a nice. I think putting him and contrasting him with Alexander, who was sort of calm and collected most of the time, would have made a much more interesting dynamic than, say, her and Murakami.
Who was also very calm and collected. I mean, he could fight. Let's not play.
Sure.
He had the moves. But I kind of would have preferred for that to be Sawande, and then maybe Murakami was the one that had gotten captured.
Yeah. Now, me wanting to see more of somebody, that's a good problem to have.
Yes.
But so let's talk about who ended up being our big bad. Kind of was Elektra. In a lot of ways, to me, this was her show.
Yeah, the dark sky definitely overpowered everything else. I enjoyed the dynamic, the character arc of her in this, because it started off where she was lost. She was like almost like an infant. She didn't even have language to say what it is that she wanted. It's like, who am I? What am I? What is this? And Alexandra basically had to raise her. And then it was like with the raptors and Jurassic Park. It's like, I will eat you.
Yeah, and I did like that sort of odd mother-daughter dynamic between Alexandra and Elektra.
Yeah, and she even took out her paternal figure, a paternal-like figure with Stick.
Yeah.
It's like she was basically like, no, I am who I am. And she took that to the level of even the weapon choice that she had, where she had the wahazashi swords, like the double swords as opposed to her size.
And I did appreciate with a show that had so many pieces to move and so much going on that they took the time to really pay attention to that arc for her. I thought that was really cool. Because there were so many moments where the other members of the Hand are kind of like, Alexandra, what's your deal with this girl? And they don't come right out and say it, but obviously she cares about her in a lot of ways. Obviously, there was some prophecy that they keep talking about and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, she's raising this girl.
Yeah, and I think it had a lot to do with she was doubling down on her gamble because she put everything in the corner of Dark Sky being. So is she going to say, no, I was wrong?
Yeah, this is not a lady who's going to say she was wrong about something.
So, and I just kind of wanted Sigourney Weaver to be an incarnation of Mephisto, something like that, where that would have been. But I enjoyed Elektra being.
We'll get our Mephisto somewhere else.
Somewhere else.
Although I would have appreciated Marvel's version of the devil showing up in the street level show.
I'd be like, how would they do that?
Yeah. Hi, it's me, Satan. I got nothing.
What?
So I sort of ranked how we talked about these in sort of level of importance to me for a show like this. You got your villains, but then you got your supporting characters. These are the characters that you're really going to sort of be drawn to and are really going to carry you through these shows. Yeah. And all of them were in the Defenders. Everybody's supporting casts were here. So we've got, I think the three that really stood out the most were Colleen, Misty, and Claire.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, Claire Temple, definitely. She just has this grounded realism to her where no matter how mystical it gets, and I guess the most mystical out of them would be Iron Fist, and then the fact that we do have actual dragon bones later.
Yes.
So dragons exist in the world. But yeah, with Claire, we already know she's like the Nick Fury of Marvel Netflix.
A little Nick, a little Phil Coulson,
Yeah, but her and Colleen Wing's dynamic and the fact that, Misty also is, in the mix with that, it's a strong supporting cast. It grounds things in a way that is not, it's grounded, but it's not unimaginative. And that's something that I feel like Iron Fist had a problem with before at the beginning of the season. But yeah, I enjoyed all of the cast members. Well, the supporting cast.
Yeah, they were able to step up. And then
and Karen Page and Foggy. Oh.
Yes, they were present.
They were there.
They were there.
It seemed
not
to me
used.
that he was the least Foggy that he's ever been.
Yeah, which might not have been a bad thing because after Daredevil season 2, I was like, I get it, man. You're the funny one. I guess so. I kind of appreciated dialed back Foggy here a little bit. And then we've got Stick, who like you talked about, had that father-daughter dynamic a little bit with Elektra. He even hesitates on killing her at one point, and that does not bode well for him.
Yeah, I enjoy how he overpowered Luke Cage because something that's done in the comics is that, okay, you have this guy with bulletproof skin. How do you kill him? Okay, concussive effect. You can drown him. You can poison him. So I love that they did that through the incense. It's like, it's
very smart.
Super smart.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to be brunt force, not with this guy.
Yeah, and Stick has always been a guy who is just going to do what he has to do to get things done, and he's definitely not going to let the Defenders sort of put his strategy together for him. If they're not doing what he wants them to do, he's going to take them out of the picture. He's definitely not necessarily a good dude.
Yeah, where he's like, hey, so there's a number of options here, and this is the last option that I have to make sure that the hand does not win.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to respect it. A man that would cut off his own hands.
Yes.
Then, yeah.
And the other thing that worked really well for me with him was his relationship with Jessica Jones. I could have watched a Stick Jessica Jones.
I wanted her to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
I needed that.
I just needed that release. I could have done with Stick as a supporting character in her next season, which we won't get.
Yeah, but Jessica Jones in anything is awesome. I loved her dynamic between her and Matt Murdock. Just like, God, you're weird.
I mean, let's get into the Defenders. She carried the show in a lot of ways to me.
There needed to be even more Jessica because I really enjoyed, like when outside of Midland Financial, when they're all about to go up to the top and and realize that Elektra is alive. When Matt Murdock just pulled her aside, be like, "You snatch me like that one more time, I'll hit you so hard you'll see."
You can see. Yeah, I mean, she was great. Just her moments with Stick, and she was sort of the audience surrogate a lot of ways, and sort of just being like, hey, this is dumb, this is weird, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Her and then Matt had some really nice moments to shine. In episode 1, his monologue to that kid, that had the settlement was just a really great moment that really takes you back to, okay, this is who his character is. This is what he's all about. So if you've never seen any of the other shows, you can at least go, oh, okay, I know this dude.
Yeah, the Aaron James case really brought home very early on, being like, yeah, he's still serving his community. This is who he is. He's put away the Daredevil outfit, but that doesn't mean he's not still going to be Daredevil in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Luke was, look, he's very pretty to look at.
Mike Coulter.
I did not necessarily love the way Luke was written in this show. I still think he was at his best in Jessica Jones. It was a different character for me than it was in his own series a little bit. Obviously, he's grown in between Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, but there's just something about him in Jessica Jones that I instantly grabbed onto and really loved, and I've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, the actor is charismatic enough that I don't hate when he's on screen at all.
No, it seemed more with the Defenders, well, because, Power Man and Iron Fist.
Sure.
And that's a beautiful bromance between the two of them. And I would love to see that on screen. But with this, it seemed more like he was a little bit more of a prop to make Iron Fist cool. Because, it's like your friends define you type of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed
right.
the interaction between him and Jessica Jones. You felt the history there.
Yes, I really
let's
appreciated
get
that.
Coffee sometime, that kind of history. But yeah, he didn't feel as fully fledged out as a character as he was, say, in his own series or how he was in Jessica Jones. So yeah, that's a pretty good point.
And look, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get back into Finn Jones's Danny Rand. Look, guys, if you ever watch me talk about Defender stuff on Screen Junkies, I wasn't a fan. So let's just get on the same page so we know where we're all coming from. This was all really interesting to me because coming out of episode 1, here we've got him. Oh, I feel really bad because I had one job to do and I didn't do it. Now everything's screwed up because of it. And I'm really upset about it on my private jet. And that really set a tone for me where I was like, oh my God, are we really leaning into this? But then the show made Iron Fist being awful kind of the point of the show, which...
Yeah, where he was kind of this headstrong, young superhero that's like, no, I have to go fight the Hand. Be like, no, the Hand wants you, therefore you stay away from them. We understand what's going on, but you need to chill.
I had to give it credit because the writers seemed very aware, like the story itself seemed very aware that he sucks. The character seemed very aware that he sucks because everything was, Elektra manipulating him at the end was because she knows he's an idiot.
Or with Luke Cage saying, hey, I have to be street level and, tussle with them. You're a rich billionaire.
Yeah, you're a rich billionaire.
What are you doing?
Yeah, they were just calling it out. And so that was a really sort of interesting choice, but I still have to question why they're leaning into this Iron Fist, because even if you're justifying how poorly written the character is, he's still not, his performance is still not great.
He just reminds me of, that one guy in college that you want to forget that you dated. So that's what Danny Rand is.
Yeah, he's
not a bad guy. He's just, that guy.
Yeah,
that guy.
You remember that guy?
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a whole lot of growing up to do, and he'll only have 8 episodes to do it in, not 13.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to get that wrapped up in the first 1 or 2, so we can be off to the races.
I'll come back around and I'll say some fair, nicer things about him, guys, so that you aren't just like, quit piling on Finn Jones. Finn Jones is fine. He was well paid. But he just doesn't have the. It's challenging to play a character from the bottom where it's like, yeah, I've got to play this guy that's like a whiny brat who has who didn't do the one thing he was trained to do. And, that's a challenging character to play and make likable. And Finn Jones doesn't have the charisma to pull it off, I don't think. I mean, they put a lot on the guy.
Yeah, he was the 4th installment in a series just before they're going to do like the end of their Marvel Netflix phase 1 type of thing. And it was supposed well, for me, it was supposed to be like a mystical show, and like, let's go. We're post Doctor Strange. Let's get weird with it.
Let's do that weird, like Big Trouble in Little China, Golden Child, like 80s sort of dumb mysticism feeling.
Like, let's have the oatmeal and underneath is the blood. Let's do it. Let's go there. And they didn't. They chose a different route. And now it just feels like kind of catch up. Since then.
Kind of, and he's just, I don't think he's equipped to do it. You know, even in the writing, it almost felt like they were sabotaging him sometimes. You know, these guys are pouring acid on bodies. They clearly have masks because there's horrible chemicals. And he's like, let's hide behind this chain link fence. You know,
the chemical smell won't get us here.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Also, no one will see us behind this chain. You know, so that it was sort of bizarre to watch. Now, I will say that there were some scenes where he did finally step it up. I thought the boardroom scene, while very dumb, where he just comes in and says, "Hi, I'm me, and I know who you are, and here's what I'm gonna do, bad guys," was ridiculous. You know, the dart fight scene that followed with the dart guns, that was a fun scene, and you know, there weren't as many cutaways to a stunt guy there. You could tell that he sort of stepped it up there.
He's put the work in.
A little bit. I'll throw him a bone. I won't throw him a big bone, but I'll throw him a bone.
So not a dragon bone.
Yeah, I will not throw him a dragon bone. Yeah, definitely a chicken bone. I think, you know, put the Iron Fist mask on him so that you don't have to be as creative with when your stuntman is in.
That would be an easy thing for them to do.
It's such an easy fix. It's why the fight scenes in CW's Arrow can be as good as they can be. They're not always great, but they have had some standouts. It's why Daredevil worked as well so often. It's because that's not him.
You know, we understand that.
Yeah.
We get this, that we're in it for the actor's performance, and that there's a lot of actors that aren't also martial artists.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need 35 years of wushu under your belt, because then you've really narrowed your casting pool down there. But yeah, put him in the mask. That's why the masks are there.
Yeah, and they do kind of put him in the yellow and green tracksuit at the end when he's
from the 70s comic.
Protecting Daredevil City. So all they have to do is then have him go a little bit more Daredevil, because he is a billionaire, so things that happen to him, just go ahead and put that mask on.
Put that yellow mask on so I can see your stuntman do some handsprings, and I think that'll solve a lot of problems. Did you have any misses watching this show?
besides us talking about Iron Fist?
We'll leave Iron Fist alone for a little while. The finale was rough for me.
Right.
For the most part, we were talking about the 8-episode experiment versus 13. There was a lot of shorthand moving us from place to place. They visit that admin assistant at Rand, where she's like, "Oh, here's 8 locations or whatever," and that was fine for me because I'd rather they just do a quick dumb scene like that and not spend 3 episodes talking to that admin assistant.
Yeah.
But the ending, we jump on it so quick. It's, hey, we're trying to go to Kunlun, and here's a dragon that's in New York, and but then maybe here's the blood and break that wall. We just start jumping through that real quick. It sort of fizzled for me.
Yeah, there were some moments where I felt I just wish that they could have gone about it in a different way. Or, for instance, the Raymonds, where it was Michelle and Lexi Raymond, and then I believe it was John Raymond was the architect. The for Donner and Dakota building, something like that. It seemed like we spent a lot of time with them, so I was expecting for there to be
a little more payoff.
Yeah, something, because there was interaction between Jessica Jones and Lexi, and I was like, oh, so what's going to happen here? Is it going to end up that Lexi's going to be part of the cleanup crew that Sawande has, or something like that?
She's going to get captured, something,
and then it just kind of went away. And I was wondering about that. There wasn't any real wrap up for that. So I understand when you're just trying to get a story out there and set things up, but it also felt just incomplete. It felt a little bit out.
A little incomplete. I think it did make our heroes look a little silly that it took, I think, episode 5 for someone to go, oh yeah, the giant hole in the ground. I remember the giant hole in the ground because it's a giant hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And that should have been the first moment everyone gets together and says, something weird's going on. Daredevil should have said, hey, I'm just going to throw this out there. This might sound crazy, but there's a giant abyss under that building. Maybe we should just go check it out.
It's like, let's just go.
Yeah, that should have been the first thing on everybody's mind.
And I also didn't like how it kind of felt like they undercut Madame Gao in this. Like with Iron Fist and then with Daredevil, she was a badass, you know? And she was this diplomatic, tactful, little old lady that could also kick your butt.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of felt like they took away a lot of her power for Defenders. I mean, she still had her power when she did like that kind of crane mother
She was taking on Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but I think bringing in the other, and honestly, some of them were so forgettable. I can't remember their names without looking at my script. Which is
the other five fingers.
The other five fingers. You sort of diminished Madame Gao by spending so much time with some of the other guys, because Madame Gao was awesome.
She was really cool,
and they kind of undercut her in this. I definitely agree with that. And then, maybe this is just me, and in my head I'm waiting for it, and I feel like they're setting it up, because at some point someone goes, hey guys, we've got to all find our supporting casts and put them in this police station for protection.
In this one room.
In this one room. I was waiting for that Terminator 1 style police assault where Elektra just walks in the front door and just starts murking cops.
You know what I was expecting? Since everybody was in that one room, I was expecting for there to be a terrorist bomb of some sort that Misty Knight would have then had to try to defuse to get everybody out of there. She gets everybody out, but not enough time, and then that's how she would have lost her arm.
Yeah,
I was expecting
a little more of a lean to the comics, and something that would have been a little more active in terms of getting them on the same page, instead of lights flickering and Karen Page going, "Oh my God, guys, they were right. There's a ninja organization." Yeah, because the power went out.
Although it was fun to see all of these different storylines and interactions to
colliding
happen.
A little bit. Yeah.
I did that, and there wasn't enough time to explore everything, obviously.
Sure, but they did their best with it. Okay, we've been negative. Let's be positive. What were your big hits? What were the highlights where you were just like, okay, we nailed it?
The Misty Knight losing her arm. I know I just said that with the terrorist bomb, but it was like she was in a sword fight. With Bakotu, and then you have Bakotu and Colleen Wing. They're going at it. She tries to save Claire Temple, and in the process of that's when we lose the arm. And I was like, oh my God.
I was really surprised they went for it, yeah.
I was like, wow, they did it. And that's the thing. So when we have Daughters of the Dragon, we're going to have where Danny Rand is probably going to be the person that gets her that bionic arm. So that was a huge plus for me.
And they leaned into Daughters of the Dragon hard with those two meeting up.
They did. Yeah. I love that interaction. And then you even got some night nurse Easter egg, behind Colleen Wing.
And I don't like being that fan who just goes, they did the thing from the thing that I know. I don't like being that fan, but there were a few great moments like that where I definitely did that. Turk was a big hit for me. I stood up and cheered when Turk showed up. I love him. He's such a great plot device of a character. But then the actor he's so fun that he just carries Turk well beyond just plot device.
Yeah,
and then
they better not ever kill Turk.
No, Turk is forever. Turk is eternal.
Forever.
Yeah, Turk for life. He shows up. The first hall fight, I really liked.
Yeah.
That was sort of the money shot from the trailer too, but
yeah, and it was well done. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the interactions between them and the Royal Dragon. It was epic. It was pure Jessica Jones.
Yes.
It's like and then going with the hall fight, it's like, how do you know this guy? Long story.
Long story. Yeah. Oh, even longer story. Yeah. And then with the hall fight, as a viewer, you're going, wait, why doesn't he recognize Elektra? Why doesn't it? So they sort of draw you in with that stuff. Something that was a big hit for me overall. This was a really strong character piece.
Yes,
I thought,
it was
for better or
driven.
worse. Even a lot of it was driven by the fact that Iron Fist is a bad character, but for better or worse, it's a character piece, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Stick was a great standout. You might be done with lessons, but lessons aren't done with you.
That's just life in general.
Oh yeah. No, he was great. Story-wise, he served his purpose.
He did. Wow. When he cut off his own hand, it shouldn't have thrown me for a loop, because we know Stick by this point, but it was like, no, he's committed. Yes, he is a ride or die.
Yeah,
if you are on the side of his cause, your cause will win, because it has to. There is no way.
Yeah.
There is no way you're not winning.
Yeah. And then sort of the other big hit for me that I took notice of is I mean, God, how many years now into Marvel movies?
Over 10?
Oh, yeah, I think over 10,
Over
which
10 years?
It makes me feel so old. But I think, because Marvel's big thing is, we're going to ignore the way comic book movies have been done for years, where everyone kind of shies away from the big comic book aspects of it. And they said, no, we're leaning in. We're talking costumes. We're talking bright colors. And I think we've gotten numb to it. To a point, a little bit, where we go, okay, there's Doctor Strange, and that's how I expect Doctor Strange to look. And they did something really clever here. The way everyone reacts the first time you see Matt Murdock in costume.
Oh, yeah.
They really leaned in on how impactful having that costume is. The first time he shows up in it, you see even Jessica Jones, who's not impressed by anything.
Yeah, nice ears.
Yeah, nice ear. She gets her quipping, but you can tell she's like, oh shit,
It's like, yeah.
And then the next immediate scene is the hand going, we have a problem. I mean, even more than when we just had these guys at the Chinese restaurant to deal with. Daredevil showed up.
Yeah, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen is
back. The Devil
back.
of Hell's Kitchen showed up.
The one that took out Kingpin, he's here.
Yeah, and it was just such a cool reminder as to sort of the impact of these costumes and the impact that they have, to the characters around them, because they might not necessarily have as much impact to us as viewers anymore.
I mean, well, think about it. You have a guy that's doing the same thing, but he has an infinity scarf, wrapped around his head,
which was great.
Or you have him decked out in his Daredevil outfit. So yes, this is someone that put the time in, has the training, and that's an impact. I mean, there's a reason why Batman is, dressed like has the influence of a bat. It's because it puts the scare in people.
Yeah. And I mean, he's the devil. And, in terms of camera work, it wasn't necessarily the most dramatic reveal in superhero history. But again, it's a character piece. And the way the characters reacted informed how I reacted to the reveal, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And I felt like it kind of influenced the other characters a little bit, because when it came to final epic battle time, Colleen Wing donned her white again.
Yep.
Even Misty Knight had she didn't have the Misty Knight from comics, but it was like a fitted jacket. It kind of did a little wing to it. And then Danny with his yellow and green track suit.
Yeah,
and then Luke Cage has been
up.
wearing yellow this entire time.
Yeah.
Somewhere he'll find that tiara again. The tiara and bracelets.
You know what? Sure. Let's do it. Let's just tiara him up. I'm down.
Oh, man.
So, Markia, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think Defenders is worth it. It is 8 hours. If you have the time, go ahead and space it out and do it. I really enjoyed episode 4. That's when they all just really get together and
So the Chinese restaurant was the standout for you.
Yes, because like you said, character driven, and for me, I really enjoyed seeing those worlds collide and intertwine. And not only intertwined in styles, like you would see earlier, that each style was very different. Daredevil was angular and red-hued, and Jessica Jones had violet tones, and Luke Cage with the hip hop. And then, Iron Fist, whatever they do with that. I'm kidding. Green-hued and, corporate, very corporate backgrounds and everything. And then it just really intertwined. Like, for instance, with Matt Murdock coming into the interrogation scene to meet Jessica Jones, he opens a red door into this blue-hued room.
Yeah.
And I just like little things like that. Or when Luke Cage shows up at Midland Financial to help out Iron Fist, and then there's just a hip hop song that happens and he busts through the doors.
Yeah.
It's like things like that.
Yeah, no,
they did a good job.
I think my big takeaway was this was Elodie Young's starring role to me. I thought she was fantastic. She stole pretty much every scene she was in. I thought she was great. I'm more excited to see where Elektra goes than I am most of the other characters. I thought she was just fun. Her emotional connection to Daredevil is what held me through, the finale. Yeah, I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, and probably just like Elektra in the comics, they're good luck killing her.
Yep.
Good luck.
Marvel has a villain problem a lot of the time, but here I think they made all the right moves. You and I are both pro wrestling fans. Sigourney Weaver put that girl over.
Yes, she did. She was a vet bringing in the young blood.
Yep.
So she did that.
No, loved it. Markia, thanks so much for hanging out.
Absolutely.
come hang out with me when Punisher comes out.
Oh, yes.
Guys.
That teaser trailer.
Oh, that teaser trailer. Guys, we want to know, what were your thoughts on The Defenders? Let us know in the comments below. And what characters next season are you most looking forward to? Let us know and click around here-ish for more Screen Junkies news. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Click here for more awesome Screen Junkies news and click the logo to subscribe.